Thank you all for joining us here. We're
Mhm.
just going to continue to let a few people in and we'll get started. Just give us about 1 minute.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Hi,
Thanks for
Eric.
having. Hi there. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
We're really excited you can be here. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I'm Griffin O'Shaughnessy, the founder and CEO of Canopy Advisory Group. At Canopy, we help organizations build their best teams with our network of top-tier fractional experts. Part of this vision at Canopy includes connecting our broader community with incredible experts like Renelle Everett Darr, who's our guest here this morning. Renelle has over 25 years of experience in both large-scale change and deep leadership coaching. Throughout her career, Renelle has coached and partnered with thousands of leaders on their journeys towards growth and transformation. She previously held positions at Ernst & Young, Deloitte, United Way, and the North Highland Company. Of her many travels, Renelle's time in Nepal has evoked some of her deepest transformations. She's partnering with Sherpa Mountain Adventures, who is here in the webinar this morning, to launch the Sherpa Way, a 5-month leadership program beginning in August and including a trip to Nepal in the end of October. We would love for this to be an interactive conversation this morning, so please feel free to throw your questions into the chat at any point, and we will monitor that and bring those questions to Renelle's attention. And with that, I will let Renelle take it away. We're so honored to have you here. Thanks so much, Renelle.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I want to welcome you to this virtual tour of Nepal. So I was telling Griffin and Serena this morning before we started that I had a work outfit on, and then I decided, well, if we're going on a virtual tour of Nepal, I think I should probably put on the jacket that I wore and the neck thing that I wore every day pretty much while I was in Nepal, so I could take you on a proper journey. I also want to welcome one of my partners from Sherpa Mountain Adventures, Eric Schultz, here today. I'm so excited that you're here. And so let's get started. So I want to just a quick overview. I want to first of all thank Canopy Advisory Group for asking me to do this. Serena herself went to Nepal when she was 13 and has never forgotten what a profound experience it was. And so it just goes to show just kind of what Nepal evokes. But today what we're going to do is I'm going to take you through the 5 ways of the Sherpa and try to help you gain a clear understanding of how that's relevant to modern leadership. And while we're doing that, we want to travel through virtually Nepal and really experience the awe and the wonder and try to help you see, you know, virtually why Nepal is such a transformative place. And also discover more about our program in Nepal. And I hope you leave today with some of the exercises that we do with some inspiration and some deeper connection to your own sense of purpose and your own awareness to live and lead with greater intention. So let's go on a journey. For those of you in Colorado, and those of you from the US, we're traveling, I don't know, about 18 hours. It takes around the equivalent of 2 days to get to Nepal door to door and with time changes. And we land in Kathmandu. So here we go. Let me tell you a little bit about the background of Nepal and how I got myself to Nepal. It had been on my list of places to go for many, many years. And I'm not sure why I didn't go earlier. That's how life works sometimes. I had climbed Kilimanjaro. I had done the trek in Machu Picchu. I volunteered in Africa, volunteered in India, and it was Nepal, this trip that changed so much for me. The others were transformative too, but this special place. And I chose to go to Nepal at a really big change in my life. And it was when I was divorced in 2019, and I was going to go in 2020 to mark the kind of the new life forward, the new chapter. And then you might have heard of this thing called COVID. We did not go until 2022. And this trip was it was a really big thing to be able to leave my two children, to leave for our trip was 21 days. And I also had this deep call to go. And it was on that trip that I just saw the transformative pieces of leadership in life. And I do conscious leadership work and systemic change. And it was working with the Sherpas, being in the awe of the Himalaya that I saw, wow, this is so much more than a trek. And so it was not too long after we got back that I partnered with Sherpa Mountain Adventures, Eric, Karma Sherpa, who lives here in Colorado, and Nima Sherpa, his brother, who runs everything out of Nepal, and thus this particular program has been born. So I want to take you through Nepal and take you through the 5 ways of the Sherpa. This was something that how can you boil down what this means and what this transformation can be in 5 simple ways? Not that easy, though we have attempted to bring that together. And it was so fun coming up with these 5 ways of the Sherpa with Karma Sherpa of like, this is what we sense from Himalayas and the Sherpa and what it's like. What do you sense? And thus these 5 ways are born. So let's travel through Nepal, learning and being with the 5 ways of the Sherpa. So way 1, root in strength and simplicity. What is essential? Um, the sheer scale of the Himalayas just invite this humility, this perspective, the altitude and the terrain, they demand your presence. And it just mirrors this inner journey and it just strips away all the distractions. And we have so many distractions right now. And there's something about the Sherpa people and the Himalayas that you just see what is essential. And so I was going to name this particular way the question, what is your Everest? Except for that my favorite mountain when I was in Nepal was actually Amadablam, and it means mother's necklace. And every time I would see this mountain, I would just stop and just, whew, what is essential? What is the most important thing to me? And it was sometimes beyond words. And this was a day that I got to actually take a picture through these binoculars to get the closest look I got of Ama Dablam because it's unlikely I'll be climbing Ama Dablam. So yeah, what's this then? What's your Everest? What's your Ama Dablam? And so here's this picture. Come back to my children. This is them dropping me off at the airport as I left for Nepal, and really always remembering back like what is essential. And I was so glad that they were so supportive of me going on this trip and what is essential. So I ask you, and I invite you to put this in the chat, to do a private journal entry, but what's essential for you in your journey? What do you need to leave behind in order to step forward with strength? Let's just take a moment. What's your Ama Dablam? Or I could say, what's your Everest? Now, I can't see the chat, so I'm relying on Griffin and Serena if there's anything we want to call out there.
Everyone is journaling or
Awesome.
thinking.
Thinking, journaling, reflecting.
What are some things, Renelle? I mean, I'm thinking like what's essential to me, it could be like in order to find meaning, fulfillment, to continue learning. My family's essential. Are those the kind of things you're thinking of, or what?
Absolutely. Yeah, it could be anything.
And you said
For me
connection.
to define what's essential, I mean, I could say, yeah, what are your deepest values? But there also could be something that you're holding on really tightly to that's not essential for your journey ahead, and you know it. You
Uh-huh.
know it. And it's like this porter carrying however many boxes of water. Those are boxes full of, or actually beer. Those are boxes full of beer, not water. What do you need to leave behind? So what's essential? And I feel it in my heart. You might feel it somewhere else in your body, but what's essential?
We've got a couple making a difference, role modeling that for kids. Um, should I need to leave behind self-imposed expectations that do not support my goals, my life, my work? Also essential is growth, improvement, Kaizen.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, and so the takeaway here in the start of this journey of the Sherpa Way is purpose isn't actually found in complexity. It's actually not found in what you do. It's found in getting clear on what truly, truly matters. So when we get clear on what's essential, then we move on to way two. Weave strong ties. And who walks with you? I have not seen a community function more beautifully than how things function in Nepal and with the Sherpa people, and the way the community ties together, and being here with Karma in Colorado, and the way that he works and the way he builds community is really a beautiful, beautiful thing. And so the Sherpa people can really teach us about weaving strong ties and how important it is that we lean on others, that we move forward together. So a story of mine from Nepal, which is kind of funny, is that I'm a climber. I do a lot of things that are high up, and I was not anticipating of the, I don't know, 12 or 15 bridges that connect all the villages through the valleys, that I would get scared. And I got the very first one, I froze. I froze and I was like, I can't walk across this. And I remember you'll meet our dear friend Sanam Sherpa later in this. I remember him helping me across. Just take one step, stand behind me, don't look down, don't look forward, just look at my backpack. And eventually, when I had to cross 12 or 15 of these, so eventually I got to a place where I could climb these, or cross these, but everybody knew that I was a little scared of these. And this picture right here was, we were crossing first before, if you can't tell, those are animals, and those are japkis, which are a cross between a yak and a cow, and they carry a lot of the gear. And so usually either the japki cross or the people cross first. And in this instance, we thought that we would cross first and then the japki would start. And so this is Nima Sherpa, who lives in Kathmandu and is our guide, one of our main guides in in Nepal. He knows how scared I am of this. And so we cross, and the Jopki start going across at the same time that we're still on the bridge. And so you can see his face, because he knew that it's not exactly what you want to do, is cross with these large animals at the same time. And you can see my face. I'm last there, and I'm like, oh, I'm the one stuck, the scaredest person of the bridge. But but the team is guiding me through, and you can see Nima just watching that. So it's kind of like, oh, weave these. This is one of the many instances where I was able to weave these strong ties. Another place, when I think about the weaving of strong ties, I talk about what it's like working with Sherpa Mountain Adventures and with Karma. And I think I worked with Karma and Eric for 5 or 6 months on planning this particular program, drinking chai at Karma's table and developing our friendship, because to him, friendship is the most important contract we can have. And so I think maybe it was 6 or 7 months, Eric, right? And then yes, we did sign an agreement, a contract of how things would work, but the relationship and our friendship and our trust was everything. And so I want to take you through another exercise. And I want you to just imagine that you're standing on one of these bridges, and you're standing on the suspension bridge, and you're looking across, and you're looking across the valley, and the other side represents where you're headed in life and in your leadership. It's a new phase, a challenge, a transformation. And as you take these steps, you realize you're not alone, but different people are walking beside you. Some offer steady support, others challenge you to go further, and some may be people that you need to invite in that you haven't invited in yet. And so I ask you, let's journal and talk in the chat. Who's walking beside you? Maybe you can think of one supporter, one challenger, and one guide, and someone that you still need to invite in. But who's walking beside you? You've gotten clear on what's essential. Who's walking beside you?
Certainly family,
Family.
their wife, their spouse. I think of like a mentor too, which sometimes is hard to find, but in terms of like those that challenge you or inspire you, inviting in, finding someone like that that really is walking a path that is inspirational.
Absolutely. And I think
Team.
that my friends from Bend, Colorado are on this particular webinar, and I know they're building an ecosystem of entrepreneurship in Colorado and have taught me a lot about relationships, communities, and support systems, that really act as those lifelines and carry us forward.
Yeah, and the Ben Kelly from Ben said her team. So right on.
Yeah, absolutely. And
And the
so, oh,
universe.
sorry, go ahead.
We have one that says the universe. And is it Mama Gaia?
The
That
earth.
or
Yes. The
universe.
earth, absolutely. As and here we are today in Nepal with where the highest altitude on Earth, uh, Mount Everest, Choma, Eric, I'm going to say it wrong. Chomalunga is means the mother goddess Earth is what the Tibetans
You
name or
nailed
call.
it. That's
I,
exactly right.
all right, Mother Goddess Earth, Chomalunga, is what Everest is known as in Nepal.
And I
And so,
think, Eric, you said supporter, my wife, challenger, my wife, guide, my Sherpa friends.
yes,
Exactly,
absolutely.
yeah. And I don't just mean guiding through space in Nepal, but guiding through experience as well.
Hmm. Yeah, Eric has been guiding with Sherpa Mountain Adventures for many, many years, so he's a plethora of wisdom and such a dear friend. So transformation isn't meant to be done alone. There are moments that we're alone in transformation. It's really not meant to be done alone. And the Sherpas remind us that the right people around the table shape the path ahead. And so this particular picture was a table waiting for us for tea after many, many hours of trekking. And we filled that table and drank tea together. And so just remember, who are your trusted guides and supporters, and who do you need to invite in? And so we move on to way 3, see it as it is. What is asking to be seen? And that is me being a little goofy, seeing what is. When I think about way 3, and I think about me sitting here talking about seeing it as it is, this is probably my lifelong work, is seeing things as they are and not as I want them to be, and yet balancing that with where I'm going and being really clear with how things actually are. And so this is about clarity and acceptance and perspective. And I just watched over and over the Sherpa people not wishing things were different, but really seeing it how it was. And in that landscape and with those people, it's really hard to not see things as they are. Even, and I'm not talking just in Nepal, but I'm talking see things as they are in your life. What, what is asking to be seen? And so this is a village called Namche Bazaar, the highest village, the biggest village in the Khumbu region. And this is where all trekkers and all climbers, climbers going to Everest, this is where everybody stops and they take stock. And it's not necessarily a choice, it's an acclimatization point. It's about 11,500 feet. It is a village built into the mountain. And so every street is on a different step. And so you just walk up into the village, you walk up into where you're staying, you walk up out of the village. And the same way you walk down many, many stairs in and out of this village. And this is on our trek, this is the place where the first people started to get sick. There's something known as the Khumbu cough. This is the place where we acclimatize, where we go up higher and then we come back down. This was where some of our first some of the first stirrings of group dynamics happened at our stop in Namche. And so some people, we want to rush forward and keep going, and other of us recognize we have to stop and we have to pause and we have to assess. And so Namche to me represents this clarity about allowing ourselves to pause and to see things as they are and not necessarily how we wish them to be. That doesn't mean that we don't have goals, but it's like what are things? What is? What is? So I want you to imagine yourself standing in Namche Bazaar, looking out at the vast mountains ahead. You've come this far. You've trekked up to 11,500 feet. You've climbed in life. You've climbed in leadership. But there's still a long way to go. The altitude, the fatigue, and the reality of the journey ahead is setting in. This is your moment to pause and take stock. What's your body telling you? What's your mind telling you? What's asking to be seen before you take your next step? What's one truth that you need to see clearly today? And again, this is Ama Dablam. You'll see a lot of those pictures. You look at my pictures of Nepal.
Renelle, what were some of the truths that you needed to see while you were there?
Mm. Well, one of the truths was that I could do this, that I was physically and emotionally and mentally strong to do this trek, to do life as a single mom, that my kids were seeing a strength in me. And um, and I didn't necessarily want the actual way life turned out that way. I didn't actually want it to be that way, and it was. And I needed to see clearly that that is my path, and I can, as we'll find out more, there's still so much joy, there's still so much to offer, regardless of things being different than I might want them to be.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have anything to offer of a truth or what's being asked of you? What do you need to see? Okay. So the
We've got
takeaway,
Ben.
go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, just from the Ben team, we're a small part of a big world. Our problems are quite small in the big picture.
Mm, thank you. And yet they matter also, right? It's like we have this perspective that, and yes, they're small and they matter, like both can be true.
Mhm.
And so if you see this person on the stairs here, they're carrying the equivalent of about 6 backpacks up up those stairs. And so the clarity comes in stillness. We and it comes in pausing before we continue to climb. And it's also about when we stop resisting or rushing to see what's truly in front of us. For me, sometimes I keep moving, 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 and it's in that pause that I can really, really see what is being asked of me, which is here's way 4. When we can see clearly, and way 4, attune to the environment. What is life asking of me to adjust? So in the Himalayas, things are always changing. So weather might shift, a tea house might be full, someone might be sick, there might be yaks crossing the trail and therefore we can't cross until they come through, or there might be what we call the other animals jopkis crossing through. There might be weather. There are numerous things that can happen, and I've never seen anybody adjust to just time and things happening like the Sherpa people. And they don't resist these changes. They listen and adapt and move in the harmony with what is. We had someone in our group that got severe altitude sickness and we had to move them down the mountain for a few days. And just the calm, beautiful way that everything was constructed. And then she was able to return in a couple of days. And so this is about, in life and leadership, we hold on to plans even when things shift. But if we attune to the environment and notice what's happening around us and not use force, there's so much to learn. And so, one of my stories, we've been trekking for many days and we arrive at 16,210 feet at the Himalayan Eco Resort. Bed, a hot shower, Wi-Fi. Those things don't always work at 16,000 feet. And so this is a Himalayan eco resort at 16,000 feet. Here's my room. And this is in the morning, no heat because it's hard to get all of those resources up to 16,000 feet. And so this is me in my biggest Arctic jacket in my sleeping bag with a large blanket over me in the morning. Um,
Did
the
you get a
other
shower at least?
No,
Oh,
and the showers were in a different room also, and the hot water doesn't always work, even if there's hot showers. So um, this was where I brushed my teeth. There wasn't any running water in the area that we were staying in, and so I have my Nalgene and I have my brushing my teeth, and I'm using the toilet to rinse off. So this is about attuning. This is me attuning to the environment.
But you at least you have a toilet. That's great.
Absolutely. This is a fancy one. It wasn't always like that. Sometimes they're in the ground. So yeah, so I ask you, imagine that you're trekking in the mountains and the wind shifts and the clouds roll in and the path ahead isn't what you expected. And instead of pushing forward blindly, you pause, you breathe, you've made that pause at Namche. And just where in your own life is the wind shifting? There's a lot of shifting wind in the world right now. What change is asking for your attention? When you really take a moment to stop and attune to the environment, what change is asking for your attention? I know for me right now, there's a question, even a question of like, how am I serving the world in the way that I need to serve the world with all the changes that are happening? Am I making my contribution? It's a big question I'm asking myself right now that I don't have an answer for. But the pause helped me ask that question. Any others?
I think in the pause comes sort of the creativity too, like you said, so much of our life is spent rushing, trying to cram in more. It's like I've got a 30-minute window. What else can I squeeze in? And then it leaves no time for reflecting on things like
Mm-hmm.
that. So I think it almost requires more time than, just what we have here to reflect on.
Oh, absolutely. And these are questions that maybe you won't have an answer today, you won't have an answer tomorrow, but I invite you to continue to traveling through Nepal virtually and
And some of them in the chat are becoming
Yeah.
an empty nester soon.
becoming
So
a what?
an empty nester, kids off to college,
Oh, that's
what
big.
teach, that's really big.
I
And
can imagine. I'm not there
it,
yet.
right? Staying present in the midst of the swirling wind,
Mm,
family dynamics, organizational shifting
yeah.
around
Yeah.
work changes.
So many changes. And the
Mhm.
takeaway from the Sherpa people from the Himalaya is the environment's always speaking to us. It's always speaking to us. Are we listening? And I'll be doing a podcast soon with a futurist, Cecily Summers. We just recorded it, and she will give us even gives tips of like the environment always speaks to us about what's changing, and if we pay attention, we can hear it and we can adjust. And so I say finally, but weaved into all of this is way five, elevate joy. So, how can I walk this path with more lightness? Even in the hardest conditions, the Sherpa carried joy with them. a joy that is absolutely contagious. And I learned, that, and I think I knew this, but I learned it more that joy is not some reward at the end. It's not something that waits until we're happier. It's a way of being. It's a practice. And so I have a couple of stories. This climb was the top of the summit, one of our summits, which is called Gokyo-ri, which is a 17,500 foot peak, non-technical but very steep. And so I climbed a number of Colorado 14ers, 14,000 foot mountains, and it's usually really cold on the top of a 14,000 foot mountain. And so this particular climb started at 15,500 feet, and we made it to 17,500 feet and 1.2 miles. So that's pretty steep. And I had anticipated that it was going to be cold. And so I had put on a pair of wool, um, like a pair of wool long johns over my climbing pants. And we're climbing, and I didn't understand, I really like, whew, straight up. And it wasn't that cold. For whatever reason, there was like a cloud vortex and it wasn't that cold. And I was like dying of heat, like dying. And there was going to be no joy anymore on this very hard climb unless I changed my clothes. And at 15,000 feet, there are no trees and very few rocks. So I had to, speaking of weaving strong ties, my team, a few people stood around me because there were more people climbing, and I literally took off all of my, I had to take off my shoes, my boots, my pants so that I could get those wool pants off so that I wasn't so cold, so that I could find my way to the top of this peak. And so talk about lightening the load, literally, but finding a little joy on a very, very hard climb. So that, and then I've got one other story to show you, and then we'll ask about your joy. And this is going to be a video, and we're going back to the Himalayan resort, the eco resort, and every morning this is what some version of this, what how we got greeted.
This is
Happy
Sana
Halloween.
wishing us happy Halloween. This is my steaming hot washcloth that he just delivered. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
So every morning, Sanam and Pasang, one of them would show up with hot tea for us and these hot washcloths in our freezing cold tea house rooms and just welcome us with this immense joy for the day ahead. And this might have been the particular morning, it might have been the day we were going to Everest Base Camp. So it might have been like 4 a.m. I can't remember exactly what day it was, but this was like the joy that we received all the time. So I ask you, what's one way you can elevate joy in your journey right now? We've talked about a lot of climbing, a lot of change, a lot of adjustment. Where can you elevate the joy in your journey? I know for me, the gratitude of just of the small things every day, of giggling, of laughter, of laughing at the things that don't go so well.
We've got turning off the news,
Mm-hmm.
staying in the moment,
Yeah.
the laughter. I think too, I told you this morning, but that I got a sneak peek of this yesterday, and that I was telling my kids this morning as they went off to school about the ways of the Sherpa, and told them how cute I thought it was that he woke you up by saying happy Halloween, and they don't even celebrate Halloween. And as they left and went out the door to school, I just yelled after them, happy Halloween, laughed, and they're like, oh, mom. But those little moments, right? And his necklace, I love his necklace that's like the flashing blue lights. So cute.
Yeah. Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, and this is my kids when I got back with their yak 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 hats. Like I'm in one of the villages. Like there's just these moments of joy. Yeah. Before we transition, there's one other video I want to show you. When I was in Nepal and I was taking all these beautiful pictures, there was this moment before Everest Base Camp, and I was walking by myself, and I was really having just this moment of just joy and emotion. And I was like, I wonder if I could record this. Like, this would never be in a picture. And so this was my attempt at at recording this and bringing you into the final steps to Everest Base Camp with me. Whoop. We're on the last moments before we reach base camp. You can feel the beauty, you can feel the air, you can feel the power.
And as we get closer, it feels a little emotional. It feels beautiful. And it feels powerful.
That was just a few moments before we made it. The click in the camera, if you notice, was me slipping and almost falling while I was trying to record this while I was crying. But just that approach just reminded me of everything that matters. And so the 5 ways of the Sherpa. You know, it's more than trekking. Nepal is more than trekking. It's why we want to put a program around the trek before and after, because it's about how we move through life, how we move through leadership, and how we move through uncertainty, which is what we're facing more and more of. So, you know, we root in that strength and simplicity, the clarity, what's essential. We get clear on that. And then we have connection. Who's walking with us? And then when we have those two, we can see the truth. What's asking to be seen? And then how do we adjust to that? How do we adjust to the reality of what is? And then joy. No matter what, how can I walk this path with more lightness, with joy? And so this is the Sherpa way. And this is why we want to bring this to you and bring Nepal to you. It's a way of leading, living, and transforming. I'll give you a couple of slides about our upcoming program, and then we want to open it up for any questions and conversation. So we're going to Nepal we're called the Sherpa Way, Leadership Journeys in Nepal. And we want to launch this in August of 2025 and trek to Nepal starting October 28th. So we'll start the trek. The reason we start it in August is this whole introduction to the Sherpa Way. We'll do some assessments. The cohort will meet. We'll do some connection and really get ready to embody these ways. In a lot of circumstances, you know, these, no matter how much I try to bring these ways to you, it's the embodiment of them yourself that really creates the transformation. And there's also mountain readiness. So there's many different ways to train for going to Nepal, but we give you a training plan, but really recommend no matter where you live that you do some training. It's completely doable. You know, with some training. And then we're spending about 15 days in Nepal. So we say it's an 18-day trip so we can help you include the travel. So it's 18 days door to door, from when you leave your door, from when you get back. And we will go to Everest Base Camp, and we will also, our ascent, our summit day will be Kalapatar, which is right outside of Everest Base Camp. And we didn't get to do it on our trek. Eric has been up it many times, and it is an 18,500 feet. And it has one of the most beautiful views of Everest. And so that will be the summit of our trip. And then we'll come back and we'll integrate. It's one thing about going and having this experience and then coming back and what do I do with this? And that's one of the most important parts of how do I integrate this into my leadership, my life? How do we bring back some of the Sherpa Way and the Himalayas into how we lead every day? So a little bit more about the trip. I know you can't read all this, but it gives you, we'll be sending this out, and it gives you the highlights. But to see that little brown hill in front of that white peak, that hill is Kalapatar. So that's an 18,500 foot hill that we climb, that we'll climb on the trip. And then we'll be helicoptering out. And Eric, correct me if I'm wrong, with weather permitting, when you helicopter out down a little bit lower, sometimes you get to fly over Everest as well. And so instead of trekking out just to decrease time and increase awe, we are going to helicopter out after we summit Kalapatar. And with that, I thank you. Serena and Griffin will be sending out this deck, and they'll be able to connect you with Canopy, with information about this trek. And with all the amazing things, speaking of weaving strong ties, I couldn't be happier to be partnering with Canopy Advisory Group, with Sherpa Mountain Adventures. There's so many amazing people, and I so appreciate you bringing me in and asking me to bring this to all of you.
Well, Renelle, thank you so much for being here. The feeling is mutual, and we can't wait to bring your offerings to our client base, to our community. We're so happy to share these lessons that you've learned. They're so powerful. And I think my greatest takeaway from today is just the sort of offhand remark you made towards the end, that you said joy is not a reward at the end. It's a way of being, a practice. And I think that that's just like so critical, and so valuable wherever we are at any point in the day, just remembering that. Are there any questions anybody want to speak up and ask? I'd love, Eric, if you don't mind introducing yourself a little bit as well, and just saying hello and give us a little intro on Sherpa Mountain Adventures. Renelle mentioned that you're also now going to some other locations like Patagonia. Would just love to hear a little bit from you. And then also we have time for questions as well.
Sure. Well, I'll jump in first then, I guess.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Canopy Group, for doing this and supporting this. Thank you, Renelle, for everything you've thrown into this endeavor. Not just your time, your expertise, and your creativity, but the integrity and the gratitude and how you show up in the world. And that just is so, it's always been obvious. It's obvious when you and I sat down for tea in Kathmandu, Renelle, and it's been obvious ever since. And so I just have deep gratitude for you and how you approach your work and your life and your guiding as well. So yeah, my name is Eric Schulz. I'm a Western guide that works for Sherpa Mountain Adventures. Sherpa Mountain Adventures is a family owned and operated Sherpa guiding company. So I'm just one of a few Western guides that work for the Sherpa team, and they've been in this business for almost 30 years now. And they're just extraordinary. Without going into too much detail, it's really kind of the experience of the family growing up and how they view the world that is the foundational infrastructure of how they approach guiding in Nepal, which is just so powerful for everyone that goes there, including me. So many people come there for their once in a lifetime trip, and then they're back a fifth time because it's just so powerful. It's really, we've all had experiences of going on vacation, working really hard, maybe being on a beach for a week and being, oh God, this feels so good. How can I hold on to this when I step back into my life? And losing it fairly quickly sometimes, and it's hard to stay connected to. Trips to Nepal, you can't avoid how you connect it with how you live your life when you come home. It's the only experience I've ever had traveling the globe where when I come home, the story arc of my journey just continues to rise. It doesn't settle. It doesn't descend. It just begins really in so many ways. And it does so every time. So I'm infatuated with Nepal. I'm infatuated. I went there for the mountains and I fell in love with the culture and the people. And I just can't go there enough. It's impossible. And yes, Sherpa Mountain Adventures is branching out. I'm going to be in Patagonia 2 weeks from now, trekking down there. And we're also, we've added Mongolia to our itineraries. We're adding Ecuador to our itinerary as well. And so it's really very exciting times. And then lastly, the piece for Sherpa Mountain Adventures is it's also a nonprofit. We've changed the nonprofit name to goodkarma.org. And so we service every place we travel to. So with medical clinics, dental clinics, eye care, environmental protection, education, we send a lot of youth to school, things of that nature. So everything we do is grounded in authenticity and altruism and having a positive impact on this planet. So it's a pleasure to be here. That's my little synopsis, and thanks.
And I forgot to mention that any proceeds from some of this trek and any of the additional items that may come out of people that participate in this, a portion of that will go back to goodkarma.org ongoing. If anyone is connected to this trek and does work with myself, with Jeff, Jeff Clem, my outdoor partner, leadership coach